Hello everybody, Brad the GUITOLOGIST here. Welcome to another Channel 2 video that I did not want to put over on Channel 1 because this is going to be a bit of a screed, a bit of a rant on my part. And sorry up front for that, but I just have to comment on this. I was perusing Facebook, and you can call it my fault for even going on Facebook at all, but I kind of got really freaking annoyed because you seem to always run across these people who, you know, from their own modern lens, they want to project backwards onto historical figures, what they need these historical figures to be and what they need these historical figures to represent in order for their own worldview to make any fucking sense. And here's the thing that burned me up on here. I saw this post from Henry David Thoreau, or whoever is running that channel on Facebook. Shared this about his yellow house where he once lived hits the market for $2.6 million. And I just thought it was kind of interesting. And the comment that I went there to leave was something like, let's see, what did I say? I said, oh, and it's not even the famous one. So, you know, the one that was in the woods. But, you know, scrolling down, I was just kind of curious what other people thought about this. And, oh, man, I really shouldn't have, because right away I start to hit some real mouth breathers. Entirely antithetical to the man's ideology. How very capitalist. Well, Henry David Thoreau was not anti-capitalist. I'm sorry to say, honey. You know, and if you look at this person, it's no wonder they think what they think, because, let's see, birth nerd. She is not only a lesbian, but she's sharing all this shit about from Lad Bible and just, I mean, let me see what else. Oh yeah, like fat shaming is bad. Here we go. Everything you know about obesity is wrong. Just, you know, just your typical social justice warrior, feminist, fucking lunatic. Chiming in saying that Henry David Thoreau was somehow anti-capitalist. Henry David fucking Thoreau, the guy who, he owned his own business. He was a surveyor. Okay, I don't know how much of this, you know, of Thoreau's actual work you have read, darling, but Henry David Thoreau was no anti-capitalist. And in fact, everything that he did was capitalist in nature. He would trade with people, which is capitalist. He would, you know, whether it was fish that he caught, or whether it was something out of his garden, or whether it was his skills as a surveyor, or his skills at other things as well. He was a very skilled man and could do lots of different jobs, and he actually did lots of different jobs and actually traded in money and goods the whole time he lived on Walden Pond. He wasn't completely isolated, but yes, he was trying to get the fuck away from people, which is antithetical to socialism. The guy was a misanthrope, if anything. He wanted to get the fuck away from people because he was an individualist and not a collectivist. The guy went to fucking prison for tax evasion, for Christ's sake, and you're saying he's a fucking socialist? Holy fucking shit. And then if you scroll down, it's like, if I even say anything about it, then I get people coming on to me like I've said something wrong. Like, you know, I just happen to point these things out, and then other people are like, oh, you're so lost. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm probably the only son of a bitch here in this thread who's read Walden. I've actually read the fucker. This is the one that I read. I've read this entire thing except for the week on the Merrimack and Concord Rivers. That's the only thing in here I did not read. But I've read Civil Disobedience and Walden, and nowhere in this does he say anything about being anti-capitalist. Okay, so sorry about that. I got interrupted there. But anyway, as I was saying, he doesn't say anything about ever about being anti-capitalist. And as a matter of fact, he proved at every turn how he was a capitalist. He freely traded with his fellow man. He grew crops all the time, and if he had excess, he would share it with others or sell what he could. He would also sell his services, undoubtedly. He was a surveyor in that area, and he would do surveying jobs and other jobs that he was qualified to do, because he was a Renaissance man, and he did all kinds of things, and he was able to make a living, piecing together a living, doing a lot of different things, and it afforded him the time to do the things that he really wanted to do. You know, he didn't want to grow up, he didn't want to go straight onto the farm and plow a field, and he thought that that would have just been an affront to his spiritual nature. That's something he did not want. And I mean, here's the problem. people who are socialists or deem themselves as socialists, these young idiots, think that capitalism is somehow antithetical to living a spiritual life. Capitalism is just a means of exchange. It's just all it is a type of free market. That's all it is. It's just describing a free market where people are free, i.e., not having to go through government and ask them for permission at every turn to do what they want to do, or having the government own the means of production, which is even worse. Henry David Thoreau would have hated you. He would have hated everything you stand for if you think that the government owning the means of production is a great idea. He even said that, you know, when men are ready for it, he wants to see no government at all on the face of the earth. He said, you know, it's something, I'm going to paraphrase the quote, but obviously it's something like, you know, it's often been said that government is best which governs least, but when men are ready for it, he wants that government which governs not at all. And, you know, how much clearer can you possibly fucking get? And then I've got, then you get people coming along later, after I point all this out, people coming along later saying, and there, you know, there's a few people, thank God, it's not complete idiots here, and some of them appear at least to have read a little bit of enough of Henry David Thoreau to know that he wasn't a fucking socialist. But some of these people, I can't understand it. There's one lady here who's like, oh, he never said anything against or for socialism or capitalism, but he was an anarchist. Well, guess what, lady? Anarchism is not compatible with socialism. If you have anarchy, then you can't have a government owning means of production, can you? The only thing that is compatible, the only economic system compatible with fucking anarchism is capitalism, you stupid mouth-breathing twat. I mean, what more do I have to say about this? Henry David fucking Thoreau you don't own him, socialists. I'm sorry. You just don't. The guy was not a socialist. He wouldn't have voted for fucking Bernie Sanders. He would have thought the guy was a complete fucking pussy who all he ever fucking learned how to do was be in government. That's all. That's what he would have thought of you and your socialist fucking movement. He wouldn't have liked it. And neither would his friend Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was one of his only fucking friends, because the guy, again, was a fucking misanthrope who was trying to get away from people. He wasn't trying to be a fucking collectivist, okay? I could sit here and cite so many fucking examples. I mean, Walden is not an easy read. Don't get me wrong. It's not even a good read. The thing is long, it's laborious. He spends fucking pages upon pages at times talking about how well his fucking his vegetable garden is going. You know, he spends pages upon pages talking about how well the fish are biting. I mean, this is not riveting stuff, you know, unless you're just somebody who, like me when I was a teenager, longed to get out into the fucking woods too. I fancied myself some kind of modern day hermit or something. That's what I wanted to be, you know. But, you know, unless you're like that, you're not. I mean, I even read Walden at a time when I was supposed to be reading whatever. It wasn't on the curriculum in high school. I was reading that instead of reading Tess of the D'Urbervilles or whatever the fuck I was supposed to be reading at the time. You know, instead of reading all the shit that they told me to read, I was reading Walden. I was reading fucking Civil Disobedience. I mean, Civil Disobedience was on the curriculum, but it was the only thing of his, I think, that was ever on the high school curriculum in the United States. Walden definitely was not. It might have had some excerpts from Walden. But not the whole thing wasn't on there. So, but I have read the whole thing, and nowhere in there does he ever fucking advocate for socialism. On the contrary, he was completely. He would have been just mind-numbingly against anything having to do with socialism, government owning means of production, and telling you what you have to fucking do. The guy was an individualist. He was trying to get away from people, and he was trying to transcend the social constructs of his day and trying to get away from being tied to a fucking plow. Okay? That's what he was doing, and that's not antithetical to capitalism. All he was saying is you have to live an examined life. That's not antithetical to capitalism, young, stupid people. Listen, stop listening to fucking Bernie Sanders. You don't have to be a socialist to be fucking hip, or to believe in freedom, or to believe in transcendental fucking meditation, for Christ's sake. You don't. You know, there are a lot of fucking capitalists who they do what they love to do in their life. They make art. you know, or they come on here maybe, or and make videos, or they make music. There are lots of people who do exactly what they love to do for a fucking living, so they're trading their labor in exchange for money, and that is capitalism. I'm sorry to tell you this. I'm sorry to break the news to you, you know, fucking Starbucks baristas of the world. You are engaging in capitalism if you work at fucking Starbucks. You know, whatever it is you want to fucking do with your life. It is probably going to be capitalist in nature, and no amount of trying to redefine it is going to change that. So, yeah, you don't get to claim Henry David Thoreau, I'm sorry to say, but you don't get him. You know, I mean, that would be almost as bad as you trying to claim John Stuart Mill, you know, or fucking Thomas Jefferson. I mean, for fuck's sake. You don't get him. I'm sorry. You can't have him. He's one of ours. So fuck off with that. You've got Marx, and you've got a couple of other luminaries, or what, you know, you've got Trotsky or something. You know, stick with what you know. You can have Lenin. You know, the problem with your pantheon of fucking winners is that they were mostly fucking mass murderers and losers who fucking brought nothing but suffering and misery onto this world. And Henry David Thoreau does not fit the bill, I'm sorry to say. So that's it.